My stepchildren expected me to break when they demanded every single piece of my late husband's legacy. But they had no idea I was already holding the one thing that would ruin them. Watching their greedy smiles during the worst week of my life made me realize how little they actually valued their father's memory. Everyone in town believed I had lost my mind when I surrendered without a fight, yet I knew that sometimes you have to let your enemies walk right into your trap. My name is Eleanor, and for over 2 decades, I was married to a brilliant, kind-hearted self-made entrepreneur named Arthur. We built a beautiful, quiet life together in a historic home in Portland, where we spent our evenings planning for a peaceful retirement that we would never get to enjoy. Arthur was my absolute world, but his 2 grown sons from his previous marriage, Julian and Donald, viewed our happy bond as nothing more than an obstacle to their future inheritance. The funeral flowers were still fresh when Julian and Donald decided to make their move, cornering me in Arthur's private study under the guise of offering family support. Julian, a ruthless corporate consultant from Seattle, sat behind his late father's mahogany desk as if he already owned the room, while Donald hovered nearby with a look of smug satisfaction. They did not care that I had spent the last 3 painful months managing Arthur's terminal care while they remained completely absent. Julian opened a thick legal folder and began listing properties and assets with the cold, detached precision of a bank liquidator assessing a bankrupt company. He casually explained that the family home, our beloved coastal cabin in Cannon Beach, and the entire family business were legally designated for them, leaving me with only a modest life insurance policy. When Donald insidiously added that family assets must remain strictly within the true bloodline, I realized my 22 years of devotion meant absolutely nothing to them. To make their cruelty even worse, Julian slid a document across the desk detailing over $150,000 in outstanding medical bills from Arthur's treatments. They expected me to use nearly my entire life insurance payout to cover these debts, leaving me with virtually nothing to rebuild my life at 63 years old. They gave me a mere 30 days to pack up decades of memories and vacate the only home I had known for half my life. After they left me alone in the quiet house, I sat in Arthur's favorite leather chair, feeling the crushing weight of their betrayal sink deep into my chest. My fingers brushed against a hidden compartment under the bottom drawer of his desk, where I discovered a worn brass key that I had never seen before. Holding that cold metal in my palm, a strange sense of determination replaced my despair, and I knew I had to find out what Arthur wanted me to discover. The next morning, my longtime attorney and close friend Lawrence begged me to fight their demands, insisting we could easily contest the validity of the suspicious will in court. I looked out his office window at the Willamette River and told him that I wanted to sign everything over to the boys as quickly as possible. Lawrence stared at me in absolute disbelief, warning me that signing the surrender papers would permanently strip me of any future legal recourse to challenge them. I explained to Lawrence that a prolonged legal battle would drain my remaining energy and spirit, and that I preferred a clean, rapid break from the toxic drama. I instructed him to draft a settlement that transferred all real estate and business holdings to Julian and Donald in exchange for the estate absorbing all of Arthur's medical debts. Lawrence reluctantly agreed to prepare the documents, still convinced I was making the absolute biggest mistake of my entire life. What I did not tell Lawrence was that the brass key fit a private safety deposit box at a small community bank downtown, which I had secretly visited earlier that morning. Inside the secure metal box, I found a cache of financial documents along with a deeply personal, handwritten letter from Arthur. My late husband had discovered that his sons were systematically embezzling money from his business, and he had compiled an undeniable mountain of evidence to protect me. On the day of the final signing, we gathered in Lawrence's formal conference room, where Julian and Donald sat with their expensive defense attorney, looking like they had already won the lottery. Their lawyer handed me the pen, and without a single moment of hesitation, I signed my name on the dotted line, officially forfeiting my rights to the properties. The brothers exchanged victorious grins, believing they had successfully forced their grieving stepmother into complete poverty. Once the signatures were finalized, their attorney casually asked if there were any final asset disclosures to enter into the official probate record before closing the file permanently. I smiled warmly, reached into my bag, and slid the certified financial audit documents along with Arthur's true, updated will across the polished table. I watched the brother's attorney pick up the papers, his confident expression instantly freezing as his face turned completely pale. The room fell into a dead silence as their lawyer read the forensic evidence detailing how Julian and Donald had committed massive corporate fraud against their own father's company. Arthur had legally restructured his entire estate, leaving the properties to me while ensuring his sons would face severe federal prosecution if they ever tried to challenge my security. Julian slammed his hands on the table in a desperate panic, realizing their elaborate scheme had completely collapsed. I stood up slowly, looked at my stunned stepchildren, and realized that true justice does not always require a loud, angry battle. By letting them believe they had stripped me of everything, I had allowed them to sign their own financial and legal ruin without any way to escape. As I walked out of the office into the bright afternoon sun, I finally felt Arthur's loving presence guiding me toward a peaceful, independent future.